Hello friends! Welcome to Storytime with the Met. My name is Chloe and I'm so excited to be here again with you today to read stories and sing songs and do an art activity together. We'll hope you'll join us every Thursday at noon for a new Storytime book, activity, and song. Now let's take a seat, get comfy, and we'll get started with our Storytime song. For those of you who know it and those of you who don't, it goes nice and slow to the tune of This Old Man. We'll get started on the count of 3. Can you hold up 3 fingers? Okay, great job. Let's get ready to sing. 1, 2, 3. Welcome friends, get ready, get set for story time with the Met, where we love to read and sing and look at works of art and picture books. We'll use our eyes to look and see. We'll use our ears to hear stories. Now we'll take a seat and give a shh. Let's begin with our first book. Yay! Great job, friends. A round of applause. You did an excellent job singing today. I'm really excited about our story today. Today's story is called Dear Juno by Soyung Pak, illustrated by Susan Kathleen Hartung. I will read the words, but I'll need help looking at the pictures. Dear Juno. Juno watched as the red and white blinking lights soared across the night sky like shooting stars and waited as they disappeared into faraway places. Can you see the shooting stars? Juno wondered where they came from. He wondered where they were going. He wondered if any of the planes came from a little town near Seoul where his grandmother lived and where she ate persimmons every evening before bed. What all do you see in Juno's yard? He's on a swing. You can see an airplane flying, his little pet dog. Juno looked at the letter that came that day. It was long and white and smudged. He saw the red and blue marks on the edges and knew the letter came from far away. His name and address were neatly printed on the front, so he knew the letter was for him. But best of all, the special stamp on the corner told Juno that the letter was from his grandmother. Do you see Juno and his letter? He's so excited to get mail from his grandmother. Have you ever gotten a piece of mail that was special to you? He's so excited he's going to share it with his dog. Through the window, Juno could see his parents. He saw bubbles growing in the sink. He saw dirty dishes waiting to be washed. He knew he would have to wait for the cleaning to be done before his parents could read the letter to him. Maybe I can read the inside too, Juno said. Sam wagged his tail. Very carefully, Juno opened the envelope. Inside, he found the letter folded into a neat, small square. He unfolded it. Tucked inside were a picture and a dried flower. Juno looked at the letters and words he couldn't understand. He pulled out the photograph. It was a picture of his grandmother holding a cat. Do you see the picture? Get up close. That's his grandmother holding a cat. He pulled out the red and yellow flower. It felt light and gentle like a dried leaf. Juno smiled. Come on, Sam. Let's find Mom and Dad. He doesn't know what the letter says yet, but he already has 2 clues as to what might be in it. Grandma has a new cat, Juno said as he handed the letter to his mother. and she's growing red and yellow flowers in her garden. How do you know that she has a new cat? Juno's father asked. She wouldn't send me a picture of a strange cat, said Juno. I guess not, said Juno's father. How do you know the flowers from her garden? Asked Juno's mother. She wouldn't send me a flower from someone else's garden, Juno answered. No, she wouldn't, said Juno's mother. Then Juno's mother read him the letter. So this is his family at the table getting ready to read the letter from his grandma. And he's already learned so much just by looking, not even by reading the letter. And here's what the letter said. Dear Juno, how are you? I have a new cat to keep me company. Do you see the cat? I named him Juno after you. He can't help me weed, but the rabbits no longer come to eat my flowers. Grandma. Just like you read it yourself, said Juno's father. I did read it, Juno said. Yes, you did. And here is Juno's grandmother in the garden with her new cat, and you can see all the red and yellow flowers in the garden too. At school, Juno showed his class his grandmother's picture and dried flower. His teacher even penned the letter to the board. All day long, Juno kept peeking at the flower from his grandmother's garden. He didn't have a garden that grew flowers, but he had a swinging tree. We saw him swinging from the tree in the very first page. Juno looked at the letter penned to the board. Did his grandmother like getting letters too? Yes, Juno thought. She likes getting letters just as I do. So Juno decided to write one. Can you see the flower in his desk? And there are all sorts of letters pinned up to the bulletin board in his classroom. Do you like to save things that your family sends to you? I know I do. After school, Juno ran to his backyard. He picked a leaf from the swinging tree, the biggest leaf he could find. Juno found his mother, who was sitting at her desk. He showed her the leaf. I'm going to write a letter, he told her. I'm sure it will be a very nice letter, she answered and gave him a big yellow envelope. Yes, it will, Juno said, and then he began to draw. So you see that Juno is going to pick stuff from his life to send to his grandmother, just like his grandmother sent to him. Even though he can't write in Korean or read Korean like his grandmother, he can send her things that make sense to him. First, he drew a picture of his mom and dad standing outside of the house. Here's his picture. Second, he drew a picture of Sam playing underneath the big swinging tree. Then, very carefully, Juno drew a picture of himself standing under an airplane in a starry nighttime sky. After he was finished, he placed everything in the envelope. And there's Juno drawing his self-portrait. Here's my letter, Juno announced proudly. You can read it if you want. Juno's father looked in the envelope. He pulled out a leaf. Only a big swinging tree could grow a leaf as big as this. Juno's mother pulled out one of the drawings. What a fine picture, she said. It takes a good artist to say so much with a drawing. Juno's father patted Juno on the head. It's just like a real letter, he said. It is a real letter, said Juno. It certainly is, said his mother. Then they mailed the envelope and waited. So Juno wrote his letter with pictures and with objects instead of with words. But I bet his grandmother's going to know exactly what he means. And here is his grandmother opening his letter. We see the big leaf from the swinging tree, Juno's self-portrait, the picture of Sam, and she's holding his other drawing here, and we also see Juno the cat next to a bowl of persimmons that she loves to eat. One day, a big envelope came. This time it was from Juno's grandmother. Juno didn't wait at all. He opened the envelope right away. Inside, Juno found a box of colored pencils. He knew she wanted another letter. Next, he pulled out a picture of his grandmother. He noticed she was sitting with a cat and 2 kittens. He thought for a moment and laughed. Now his mother would have to find a new name for her cat. In Korea, Juno was a boy's name, not a girl's name. Then he pulled out a small toy plane. Juno smiled. His grandmother was coming to visit. You can see all of the objects that he's pulling out of his envelope, including his tiny plane. Maybe she'll bring her cat when she comes to visit, Juno said to Sam as he climbed into bed. Maybe you two will be friends. Soon Juno was fast asleep, and when he dreamed that night, he dreamed about a faraway place, a village right outside of Seoul where his grandmother, whose gray hair sat on top of her head like a powdered donut, was sipping her morning tea. The cool air feels crisp against her cheek. Crisp enough to crackle, he dreams like the golden leaves which cover the persimmon garden. You can see Juno going to bed and talking to Sam about his letter. The end. Great job reading, friends. Give yourselves a round of applause. That was a long book, but it was a great book to show about all the different ways we can communicate with each other. Even though they didn't speak the same language, Juno and his grandmother were able to write each other's letters with pictures and with things that they loved so that they could share their lives with one another. When I was reading this book, I thought about a woodblock print from our Japanese art collection of a young woman writing calligraphy. Even though Juno doesn't write words in this book, he takes care to carefully show what he's thinking about and what he wants to share with his grandmother by carefully drawing and selecting things to send to her and her to him. And in this image, you see a young woman carefully practicing her calligraphy bent over her scroll. And I think it's just a really beautiful way to show how detailed and how much thought we put into the way we talk to one another. Before we go, I just want to share a really quick activity that you can do with your grown-up or by yourself. And it's about mailing letters and sharing your lives with your friends and your family. So all you'll need for this is paper, scissors, something to draw or color with, and a pen or pencil, and a pen pal. So I made a tiny postcard. What you have to do is you take a piece of paper and you cut it out 4 by 6 inches, which is a standard postcard size from the post office. On one side, you can draw whatever you'd like. I used oil pastels, because that's what I had at my house, to draw a picture of a garden in a park. My best friend and I love to go to gardens together, but we haven't been able to go for a long time. So I wanted to send her a postcard to remind her of all of our fun sunny days together. On the back, you write your friend or family's address and a note. And then at the very top, I put a square where you might put a stamp so you can mail it off to your friends and family. It's super easy and it's really fun to mail things. So be like Juno and his grandmother and mail to your heart's content. That's all I have for story time today. I'm so happy that you were able to join me this week. I had a great time. I can't wait to see what kind of letters you write and postcards you come up with. And we'll see you next week at noon for a new story time and activity. Bye, friends.